Welcome everyone to this winter reading kickoff. Our winter reading challenge starts on Tuesday and it runs until the end of February. And I really want to encourage everyone to log their reading, and that's everything, books, magazines, audiobooks, ebooks, e-audiobooks, really, anything, you can log it. And the nice thing about the challenge is we do have a grand prize. So if you are chosen, then you will win a Kindle Fire with some accessories. So again, I really want to encourage everyone to sign up for winter reading. And I am lucky to be joined today with my coworker, Marjory. And together we actually buy most of the fiction and some of the nonfiction for the library. So today we're going to be talking about some of our picks for really great reads during this kind of gloomy period of the year when you really just want to, cozy up with a good book. So I guess without further ado, I will hand it over to Marjory and she can give us some of her recommendations.
Oh, thank you. And it's a pleasure to join you, Brianna, and talk about some of my favorite books. I'm going to hit upon kind of a mishmash of fiction, nonfiction, and a children's book to boot. But I'm going to start with my favorite book. It's called The Thursday Murder Club. It's by Richard Osman, and he's British. He is a screenwriter. He's a game show host. He's very well known in England, and this is his first book, which is a mystery. And the Thursday Murder Club is made up of Elizabeth, Joyce, Ron, and Abraham. And they are 70-ish retirees living in a very nice, posh retirement village. They seem to happen upon murders with people they know, and in their little retirement home. It's just a #1 bestseller. It's sold over 2.5 million copies. The book is so much fun. It's very clever. It's full of surprises. And at the same time, it's a living tribute to getting older and the relationships we all form from best friends to spouses. After reading this, all I know is that when I grow up, I want to live in Cooper's Chase retirement community, solving cold cases with my fellow septuagenarians. And if this book weren't wonderful enough, the second book in the series came out. This is called The Man Who Died Twice. And I and many people I've talked to found this book even better than the first one, because we know the characters, and they didn't know each other at the beginning of the first book. They all got to know each other, and you really enjoy seeing their relationships deepen and grow, and as they get to know each other better. And it's very clever writing. I can also tell you that the third book is due out in September. So I'm going to strongly recommend. This was my favorite book last year. And it's a mystery, which is one of my collections. So I enjoyed that as well. I'm also going to mention a children's book. It's by Stacey Abrams, who is a leading proponent for voting rights. And in this book, it's kind of biographical. She talks about how much she enjoyed words as a child. Her parents were teachers, and I think it kind of rubbed off on her, kind of like a Fancy Nancy. It's got really beautiful illustrations and fun words, and one of the most significant words in the book is perseverance. So I think that's a good lesson for us all. And I'm going to talk about one more before I hand it back to Brianna. This one is called Finding the Mother Tree. And this is for someone you might know if you are interested in science or gardening. This is a really interesting book. It it is kind of a dense book. I enjoyed it more as an e-audio book. I could listen to a couple of chapters and then take a break. Suzanne's Simard is a pioneer on the frontier of plant communication and intelligence. She's been compared to Rachel Carson and hailed as a scientist who conveys complex technical ideas in a way that is dazzling and profound. And you might want to check out, she's done a TED Talks that's been viewed by more than 10 million people. And you might want to check that out and see if this might be a book that you would be interested in. And with that, I'll hand it over back to Brianna.
Okay, thank you for those recommendations. I did not know before you told me your list that Stacey Abrams had a children's book.
It just came out.
Oh, just did?
Yeah.
I guess I want to plug that she is also releasing or re-releasing her romantic suspense books. So, if you like her or you like romantic suspense novels, we are getting, I think, all of her backlist. They're being republished and we have them. So I will plug that. And then I guess I can move on to the first of my recommendations. So most of my books have actually not come out yet. So I'm choosing books that are, coming out during the winter reading period. There's only a couple exceptions to this. And the first one, this is The Wit and Wisdom of Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. So a lot of people watched Bridgerton on Netflix when it came out last year. I know that another coworker and I did a whole program discussing the show and the book. And this Wit and Wisdom actually is from the point of view of one of the characters that are wrapped in mystery in this book series, Lady Whistledown. And throughout this book, it's pretty short for all that it contains. And it is kind of a compilation of all the best moments and best witticisms that Lady Whistledown has during the 8-book series that Julia Quinn wrote, several years ago. So I would recommend that for anyone who likes romance, likes Julia Quinn, or you watched Bridgerton last year, got hooked, and you just want more in the universe. So that is my first recommendation. And then my next one is going to be The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. And so this book is fiction, and it is about Frida Liu, who is struggling. She doesn't have a career worthy of her Chinese immigrant parents' sacrifices. She can't persuade her husband to give up his wellness-obsessed younger mistress. And only with Harriet, their daughter, does Frida finally attain the perfection expected of her. Harriet is all she has, but she just isn't enough. So Frida has a very bad day. And this is kind of where the novel, takes off. And the state has its eyes on mothers like Frida, the ones who check their phones, letting their children get injured on the playground, who let their children walk home alone. Because of one moment of poor judgment, a host of government officials are now determined or will now determine if Frida is a candidate for a big brother-like institution that measures the success or failure of a mother's devotion. So faced with the possibility of losing Harriet, Frida must prove that a bad mother can be redeemed and that she can learn to be good. So this is a pretty highly anticipated release for January. So, I would recommend that for anyone who maybe likes a bit of a futuristic twist to their fiction. And then my next book is called Honor by Thrity Umrigar. So let's see. I really like this cover. It's very bright. Really catches your eye. Hopefully whenever you come in and see it in the new book area. And then this book is about Indian American journalist Smita. So she's returned to India to cover a story, but reluctantly. So long ago, she and her family left the country with no intention of ever coming back. As she follows the case of Meena, a Hindu woman attacked by members of her own village and her own family for marrying a Muslim man, Smita comes face to face with a society where tradition carries more weight than one's own heart, and a story that threatens to unearth the painful secrets of Smita's past. While Mina's fate hangs in the balance, Smita tries in every way she can to right the scales. She also finds herself increasingly drawn to Mohan, an Indian man she meets while on assignment. But the dual love stories of honor are as different as the cultures of Mina and Smita themselves. Smita realizes that she has the freedom to enter into a casual affair, knowing she can decide later how much it means to her. So in this tender and evocative novel about love, hope, familial devotion, betrayal, and sacrifice, Umrigar shows us two courageous women trying to navigate how to be true to their homelands and themselves at the same time. So I think with that, I might toss it back to Marjory.
Okay. One of my favorite authors died recently, which made me want to look at the variety of books he's written over the years. He was Edward O. Wilson, is called the father of sociobiology. I remember studying him in college, and his specialty, he taught at Harvard. He was, I don't know, around almost 90, I think. His specialty was ants and how ants communicate and work together. And this book is called Letters to a Young Scientist. And it's 20 essays where he talks about his life, his experiences, and how that led him to a career that he loved and was passionate about. He has distilled 60 years of teaching into a book for students, young and old, reflecting on his coming of age in the South as a Boy Scout and lover of ants and butterflies. He threads these actually 21 letters, with each richly illustrated with autobiographical anecdotes that illuminate his career, both his successes and failures, and his motivations for becoming a biologist. He actually came to Cleveland many years ago, and I was lucky enough to see him. So, but you might also be interested in his books about ants. He has a huge coffee table book with very large photographs of ants, and that might interest you as well. Now I'm going to switch over to two very popular fiction books. This one is Our Country Friends by Gary Shteyngart. And whereas a lot of the fiction that's being published now doesn't or may be talking about COVID and the masks and how our lives have changed. This is one of the first books that came out last year that this was the main focus of the book was COVID. And in this story, we have 8 friends, 1 country house, and 6 months in isolation. A novel about love, friendship, family, and betrayal, hailed as a virtuoso performance, and an homage to Chekhov with 4 romances and a finale that will break your heart. Features an unlikely cast of characters: Russian-born novelist, his Russian-born psychiatrist wife, and they're precocious, obsessed with K-pop. We have an Indian author, we have a movie star, we have an actor, we have different people coupling up and the complications that follow. It was really fun to be able to find some amusement with what we've all been dealing with for the past 2 years. On a slightly different bent, I'm going to mention The State of Terror, which was written by Hillary Clinton and Louise Penny. If you are a fan of mysteries, you are all too aware of Louise Penny's work. We are big fans of her Inspector Armand Gamache series based in Three Pines. So imagine when she teamed up with Hillary Clinton to write a political thriller. With insight only HRC could provide and meticulously constructed twists only Penny could write. I think Hillary gave Louise some inside information of what she experienced firsthand, but you can tell this was written by Louise Penny, and for anyone who loves her her mysteries, you're going to love this book too. And with that, I'll hand it back to Brianna.
Okay, thank you. That was quite a mix, and I'm glad that we have some something for everyone here.
Yes.
Okay, so my next book is going to be, purely fantasy. Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lan-tan. So this is a captivating debut novel, and it's inspired by the legend of the Chinese moon goddess. So growing up on the moon, Xingyin is accustomed to solitude, unaware that she is being hidden from a powerful celestial emperor who exiled her mother for stealing his elixir of immortality. But when Xingyin's magic flares and her existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. So now she is alone and she's untrained and very afraid, but she makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. Disguising her identity, she seizes an opportunity to learn alongside the Crown Prince, mastering archery and magic, even as passion flames between her and the Emperor's son. So to save her mother, Xingyin embarks on a perilous quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies across the earth and skies. When treachery looms and forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, however, she must challenge the ruthless celestial emperor for her dream, striking a dangerous bargain in which she is torn between losing all she loves or plunging into the realm of chaos. So, like I said, that is purely going to fall into the science fiction fantasy genre. And next, we are also going to be shifting gears a bit. And I have more of a, contemporary romance. So the next book we have is Love in the Big City by Song-young Park. So the main character, Young, is a cynical yet fun-loving Korean student who pinballs from home to class to the beds of recent Tinder matches. He and Jae-hee, his female best friend and roommate, frequent nearby bars where they push away their anxieties about their love lives, families, and money with rounds of soju and ice-cold Marlboro Reds that they keep in their freezer. Yet over time, even Jae-hee leaves Young to settle down, leaving him to care for his ailing mother alone and to find companionship in his relationships with a series of men, including one whose handsomeness is matched by his coldness, and another who might end up being the great love of his life. So this is a brilliantly written novel. It takes us from nighttime in Seoul to the bleary-eyed morning after, with both humor and emotion. This actually, when it came out in Korea, I guess it was a runaway bestseller, and this is the English translation. We have Brown Girls by Daphne, Palasi, Andreades. So we are switching from Korea back to America and landing in Queens, New York, where streets echo with languages from all over the globe, subways rumble above dollar stores, trees bloom and topple over sidewalks, and the funky scent of the Atlantic Ocean wafts from Rockaway Beach. So, within one of New York's most vibrant and eclectic boroughs, young women of color attempt to reconcile their immigrant backgrounds with the American culture in which they come from. So here they become friends for life, or so they say. Exuberant and wild, together they roam the city that never sleeps. They sing Mariah Carey at the top of their lungs, yearn for crushes that don't pay them any attention, and they break the hearts of those who do. all while trying to heed their mother's commands to be obedient daughters. But as they age, their paths diverge and rifts form between them, as some choose to remain on familiar streets, while others find themselves ascending in the world, beckoned by existences foreign and seemingly at odds with their humble roots. So with this one, I believe it opens when the girls, there's a group of five. There's a group of 5 girls that are focused on in this novel. And it starts with it when they are 9, and I believe it follows them until they're in middle age. So it goes, a good chunk of their lives. And it's all about, this friendship that's formed and the bond that can exist between, these women who have an experience that are, very similar to a lot of Americans and also very different. So those are, my recommendations, and I will hand it over to Marjory.
Very nice, very interesting books. I'm looking forward to learning more about trying some of those out. I'm going to finish up. I have 4 books. They're kind of self-explanatory, but just to remind you, we do have browsing in the library with all of our new materials, and we always have a wonderful collection of cookbooks, and I brought 2 that I've been looking over. This one is The Pioneer Woman Cooks, super easy. 120 shortcut recipes for dinners, desserts, and more. And what I like about, I like her cookbooks because I like her show, but she really does step-by-step photos of the books. She includes her dogs and her family. If you like The Pioneer Woman, you're going to like this cookbook. Some wonderful soups that look really good for the winter. Then I have another cookbook. One of my other favorite cooking shows is Stanley Tucci's, and this is the Tucci cookbook. Stanley has, he tours Italy, different regions in Italy. It's I think it's starting its 2nd season on CNN, and it's just fun to watch him travel the countryside and meet Italian cooks and learn their recipes. And again, beautiful photographs. I like a cookbook that has photographs for me to look at. So again, if you like Stanley Tucci, I think he has 3 cookbooks out now, the Tucci cookbook, and then different variations of pretty much Italian cooking. And while we're on the subject of food, why not? This is Gastro Obscura. And you probably remember the Atlas Obscura that came out, I think 2 years ago. It talked about unusual places you could visit around the world. This is a kind of a different take on that. It's the different food that you could try. Although, as the book indicates, you can't eat everything in the book. So keep that in mind. I did look up to see if there was any destination nearby. And here we have Ohio. I was a little disappointed. This is a pawpaw fruit. I think it's like a mango. So this is how Ohio made the list, which was a complete surprise to me. But it's got all around the world, all kinds of, for someone who likes to travel, or just think about maybe, when things settle down, a fun trip that you could take that would involve some culinary exploring as well. So this is kind of a fun book. But also keep in mind, Atlas Obscura was also from the same people, was an interesting book as well. I'm going to finish this off with, it's kind of a heavy tome of a book. This is the New York Times Book Review, 125 Years of Literary History. And it really is a fun book because it shows you how books were received when they first came out. clearly they've all stood the test of time because they're in the book, and they couldn't put everything they reviewed in the book. One of my favorite, and I'm sure yours, is E.B. White's Charlotte's Web. And it's just fun because it's really kind of a cultural overview of books that are important to not just librarians, but to just, anyone at all. And here's Robert Caro, The Passage of Power, which was well received when it first came out, and it holds up still today. It's a book that you might want to just read a couple of chapters. You don't want to try to digest it all at once, but it really is just a wonderful overview of our literature and culture and history in the past 125 years. And this is also available at the library. So I've tried to give you kind of a little bit something for everyone in my book selection. And these are all available at the Euclid Library. So I hope you'll check some of them out. And again, thanks, Brianna, for letting me be part of your book discussion, and I will hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you for all of your recommendations. They were really great. I especially liked a lot of your nonfiction books. Would be so great if you're stuck at home, it's kind of yucky outside, and you can just, spend a few hours learning something new that you didn't know before. Okay.
And I liked your suggestions as well, because it's a great time of year to sit back and read a good book of fiction.
Well, as I was thinking that yours were really good recommendations, I think half of mine are really good for one sitting too. Like if you just have a few hours, you can really power through. But also I do have a few heavier ones that, if it is bad outside, you could spend the whole day, the whole weekend reading. So yeah, I think we have a good mix here. So I only have a couple more books that I'd like to share today. We are back on the romance path. So we have Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. And then this is also a contemporary romance. And it is about Dahlia, who is a sweet-natured divorcee looking to start over after her failed marriage. London is a salty curmudgeon with a marshmallow heart. The two of them meet as competitors on the cooking show Chef Special, and the simmering tension between them begins to boil as the competition heats up. Add to this the fact that London, the program's first non-binary contestant, has decided to come out on air to the public, yes, but also to their father, who hasn't been the most accepting. And you've got the recipe for a delectable, emotionally stirring romance. So again, something lighthearted, sometimes you don't want anything too heavy. And then my last book, you might like this one, Marjory. So it is called The Swimmers.
Of course.
By Julie Atsuka. So in this novel, it all takes place surrounding a community pool. So these swimmers are unknown to one another except through their private routines, slow lane, medium lane, fast lane, and the solace each takes in their morning or afternoon laps. But when a crack appears at the bottom of the pool, they are cast out into an unforgiving world without comfort or relief. So one of these swimmers is Alice, and Alice is slowly losing her memory. For Alice, the pool was a final stand against the darkness of her encroaching dementia. Without the fellowship of other swimmers and the routine of her daily laps, she's plunged into dislocation and chaos, swept into memories of her childhood and the Japanese-American incarceration camp in which she spent the war. Alice's estranged daughter, re-entering her mother's life too late, witnesses the stark and devastating decline. So this is written, in spellbinding and incantatory prose, and The Swimmers is a searing, intimate story of mothers and daughters and the sorrows of implacable loss. the most commanding and unforgettable work yet from this author. So those are my last two fiction recommendations. And again, I just want to reiterate, all of these books except for two have not come out yet. Right, two of them have been released. So, you know, you will be able to find all of these on our shelves or online, you know, when they come out. And I encourage everyone, you know, again, to check out some of these books that we mentioned. And if you do check them out before February 25th, definitely log them for our winter reading challenge. I also want to mention one last thing, and that's if you are looking for more recommendations for, you know, something good during, you know, this time, January, February, winter in general, new releases in particular, I would definitely check out our latest podcast episode. You can access Euclid Library's podcast on our website, and there we have several YA and children's upcoming releases, as well as adult fiction.